What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of the Level 10 podcast. My name is Noah Johnston, and in the past 4 years, my business partner and I have been able to scale a seven-figure wholesaling and flipping business. I also coach and mentor other people on how to get their first deal and scale them to a seven-figure wholesaling business as well. And so, what the Level 10 podcast is about is taking your mind, money, and muscle to the next level. So, if that's something that you're looking to do, please like and subscribe because every single week we'll be coming out with content that will provide value to you so that you can improve in every single aspect of your life. And so, today, on this very first episode, I'm going to be meeting with Hayden and Caleb. They're two of the guys that I've been mentoring for a long time. They're like brothers to me now. I've been with Hayden for about a year and a half. I've been with Caleb for about the past 8 months as well. They actually became business partners through this all, and they've been able to do some amazing things and make some great money. But we'll talk about that later. And so in this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about personal development and a lot about wholesaling and flipping real estate, how I was able to get started, how they've been able to get started, and how in the past 5 months they've been able to make $117,000. Yep. That's freaking awesome at the age of 22. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell a little bit about them.
Yeah, so my name's Hayden. I grew up in a small town just about 2.5 hours north of Salt Lake. Just about a year and a half ago, I was broke. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I had no direction. I reached out to Noah here. He taught me how to wholesale real estate, and we worked on a lot of personal development as well. And now we've done over 6 figures about the past 6 months, and everything's been great.
Yes, sir. Freaking awesome.
My name's Caleb Bagley, and I grew up in a small town in Cache Valley, Utah. Hayden and I have actually been friends, way longer than we've been business partners. And he's the one who got me into wholesaling. He started with Noah before, I did, and he told me a little bit about it. So I hopped on a phone call with Noah and decided that's what I wanted to do. And so since then, it's been just uphill from there. Personal life and business, and even our friendship, mine and Hayden's and mine and Noah has grown so much since then.
Freaking awesome. And before we go into their wholesaling business and what they've been able to do since being part of the Level 10 wholesaling program, I just wanted to go a little bit more into who I am since this is the very first episode. So like I said, my name is Noah Johnston. I was born and raised also in Smithfield, Utah, right? Same area as these guys. We never knew each other. I'm a little bit older than them. I'm 25 right now. And when I was 20, 21 years old, I just knew that college was not for me. I was going to college. I was working a 9 to 5. I was working multiple jobs, and I was just freaking stuck in life. I had no progress. I was wanting to be an orthodontist, and I didn't want to go to school for 12 years just to make $250,000. I didn't want to go to school that long. So then I got into the business program, and then I realized that all of my business teachers, they didn't even teach business, all the professors. And so I was super lost, and I tried multiple businesses, e-commerce, drop shipping, couch flipping, dirt bike flipping, car washing, about 10 other businesses until I came across wholesaling real estate, which you can do with no cash, no credit, no license, no degree, and very low startup costs, and seriously no risk, very, very little risk. And so I came across it. I tried it out for a year and a half, and just because I was trying it out, I didn't have any success. And then I really went all in on it. A few months after that, my business partner and I, we each made 6 figures in 1 month. And since then, we've been able to do multiple 6 figures, high 6 figures, created a 7-figure wholesaling and flipping company. And now we have this awesome high-rise apartment here in Salt Lake. I have a penthouse suite here in Salt Lake. And so life's been crazy. Life's been great. And since I was able to do that, other people were seeing my success. And one of those guys was Hayden here. And he reached out to me, wanted to learn how to get into all this. And that's when I came across the whole coaching and being a mentor. And since then, I've fallen in love with teaching other people how to leave the 9 to 5, how to live life of your dreams, how to chase your dreams, how to accomplish them, how to make the money that you want to make. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Um, so Hayden and Caleb, I'm going to ask you guys, what was was there a moment of time, or was it a long process that for you guys to make that switch in your mind of, okay, I'm sick of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm sick of working for someone else. I want more out of life. Was it like one day? Was it a moment, or was it a period of time that kind of happened? Kind of explain that story for everyone.
So I think for me, it was both. Um, because I knew from a young age that I wanted to start my own business, right? And live life at a higher level than most people do in their 9 to 5. But there was a moment where it did just flip, right? But subconsciously, it was always in the back of my mind, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that switch flipped about a year and a half ago, right when I reached out to you. It was probably about a week prior to that. I'd been talking to my little brother, and I just told him, like, man, there's so much more to life. I know there is, right? And I don't want to keep working, this 9 to 5 job and struggling paycheck to paycheck every single day. So that switch flipped, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know it was going to be wholesaling real estate, right? I didn't know what it was I wanted to do.
Just something.
It was just something. I'm like, I got to figure something out, and call it coincidence, call it whatever you want. I see you on Instagram not too many days later, and I'm like, I want to be that guy. I want to do whatever he's doing, right? I don't care what it is. I just want to do what he's doing. He's obviously figured something out. So I reached out, and we went to lunch, and boom, history.
That is awesome. And what would you say to the person that's just the average person out there that's watching this, that they're in the same spot? They're in the 9 to 5, they're living paycheck to paycheck, but they have that thing in the back of their brain where they feel like they have more to give. There's
Yeah.
more to life than just working, going home, eating a bag of Doritos, and going to bed.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person that helped you just take that leap and take that initiative and take the risk?
Yeah. So I think for me, the biggest thing was understanding that it's possible. I can't talk for everyone, but for me personally, it's really easy to get on social media these days and look at everyone else, right? And you think they just got lucky or something just got handed to them, right? But it couldn't be you, right? So one thing that I would say to everyone is it is possible, right? But you have to be willing to take that first leap of faith and take action on whatever it is you want to do in life, right? Whether it's wholesaling real estate or, it's whatever you want. It doesn't matter, right? Just take that leap of faith, right? Take action and believe that it's possible, because I can tell you right now it is.
So you were 21 when you reached out to me, right? Or how old were you?
21.
Why didn't you make that decision in those 21 years? What led up to taking that initiative and taking that risk?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me and for a lot of other people, society has made it kind of the norm, right? To go to high school, go to college, and get a 9 to 5. That's what's normal,
Yeah.
right? That's what society pushes onto you, right? And so that's what I thought was normal. Even though subconsciously I knew that wasn't what I wanted in life, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? My whole entire family, right? Whether they went to college or not, right? Right out of high school, they went and got a job or they went to college. And so, as you know, I actually, about a year after I got out of high school, I went to pilot school
Oh yeah.
to become a pilot. And that was right around the time when, inflation was just crazy. Everything got super expensive, and I couldn't continue to keep doing it. And at the same time, right, I loved flying. I still love flying. It's one of my favorite things to do, but I still knew this wasn't exactly what I wanted. And aside from that, I couldn't afford it. Right? So I dropped out.
Mm.
I got my private pilot's license, and then I stopped. I didn't pursue it any further than that. But yeah, I think it's just something that society has made normal. And I think thinking about starting your own business and going out and adventuring is uncomfortable for a lot of people. And you have to learn to be uncomfortable, right? And to go out there and meet new people and learn about different things. And it's just crazy how far you can go.
And I think that's a perfect lesson for everyone that's watching this. It's like it was super uncomfortable for me. You know,
Yeah.
I came from generations of they all went to college. You know, my family's engineers, dentists,
Yep.
nurses. And when I said I was dropping out of college, they wouldn't talk to me. You know,
Yeah.
it was a big deal,
Yep.
and it was super uncomfortable. You know, I took a huge risk of starting my own business, and especially in real estate. I was 21 years old as well when I got started. People thought I was crazy. I bought my first fix and flip at 21, 22 with money I didn't have. I had to figure out how to get it in 30 days.
Yep.
And that's how I ended up finding my business partner that I have today. But you know, I think everyone just needs to hear that it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary.
Yep.
That's why the 1% is 1% and 99% is the whole rest of the world, because they don't want to take that action. But that's great to show that you were uncomfortable. It was scary, but
Yeah.
look where you're at now.
Yeah. I wouldn't take it back for the world.
Freaking awesome. And then Caleb, if you could just share with us too, kind of the same thing of when was that tipping point for you that made you reach out to me?
I think the biggest thing for me is, and it's very similar to Hayden, right? He kind of had that since he was little, wanting to own a business, and I was the same way. I have an uncle who owns a business. Like I've had that around me a little bit, so I was like, hey, that's what I want to do. More than just for the money and the time. I mean, that's definitely a part of it, but also the creativity to do what I want when I want, to create something
Hmm.
more than just going to somebody else's creation every day and doing the same thing every
Cool.
single day, right? And so Hayden said a lot of good things. I'm very similar to him in that aspect. But I think for me, and it's something you actually told me later down the road. Obviously, this isn't when it happened, but you told me a quote that's always stuck with me that's made my whole life make sense. And it was when preparation meets opportunity. And I realized I was raised by good parents, right? I had a good family. The teaching to go to college in the 9 to 5 isn't necessarily bad. There's a lot of good lessons in it, but it's not what everybody wants. And so for me personally, I learned a lot of good things up to that point, even from my uncle who owned a business, right? I learned that that's what I wanted to do instead. It was when I had the opportunity come along that, at first, I'll even admit, I was like, is this a get rich quick scheme, right? Because it was instilled in me that those aren't real, that you work hard, you save up money, you go to college, you do those type of things, right? So when Hayden came to me that he was in wholesaling, that he was doing with you, I knew I had to reach out myself. I was like, hey, I'll give it a chance, but I have to go off my own gut instinct, right? And so calling you, I knew that it was more than just sitting around being lazy, getting a bunch of money for free, because that's not realistic. That doesn't happen in the real world. What is realistic is that the the amount of hard work you put in is the amount of success you can get out of it, right? And I've noticed that you were very knowledgeable in money and in investing and in having a business. I also noticed that you were very like um you worked hard. I could tell that by your journey in going a year and a half wholesaling, like taking the risk, just like Hayden said, right? Taking that first step. And so I guess the turning point for me was, hey, now I need to stop taking just Hayden's opinion and I need to figure out for myself. And then that turning point was when I talked to you and you said a lot of very similar things that my uncle talked to me about in business and that I already kind of believed in. And so that was my turning point right there of, okay, now I feel comfortable. Now I know it's not a bad thing to live the 1% life, to get rich and have a lot of money, to own a business. And that's really where it turned for me.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Caleb. And it's cool because that brings up some controversial topics that I'd love to discuss with you guys that I feel like everyone's too scared to talk about. They talk about wholesaling or really any of the businesses today that you can make good money in quick, they call it a get rich quick scheme. And I think that comes from you know, a lot of the huge corporations and a lot of the big businesses, they have to spend millions and millions of dollars, spend 5, 10 years until they can turn a profit. How much money did you guys have to invest to become profitable wholesaling?
I
It was
mean,
a couple thousand maybe
yeah,
getting
yeah.
started.
I was gonna say
Well, I mean, here's a very good quantifiable number off this last deal. So they just closed on a $70,000 wholesale deal in the month of April. So just last month. How much did you guys spend in marketing and ad spend
for that deal,
for that deal?
we spent 3,500.
No.
No, that was we spent.
That one was a cold call, right? That came in.
Oh yes, that one. Okay, I thought you were asking about marketing.
Yeah, but you didn't spend any money in marketing.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Yep. And so they're a little bit confused here on this. I need to help them out here. But the last deal that they just closed, $70,000 deal, it was $0 in ad spend. And so I think that a lot of the older generation, you know, they had to work for years and years and years to turn a profit. Why wouldn't you want to make money quick? Why wouldn't you want to get rich quick, right? And so that's how I kind of look at it. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about as well is the having a mentor, having a coach, or buying into a course. You know, a lot of people there are a lot of scammers out there. You know, they say, I got a course, come get into it. It's going to help you get rich. And everyone claims to be a coach and a mentor. What has your guys' experience been with it? Because in the past, I bought into a course for drop shipping back in the day, and I lost a couple $1,000s because I bought into it and then I never heard from the guy again. And so I just want to ask you guys, what's been your experience with it, and what would you say to someone that's out there that is where you guys were out, or the position you guys were at, stuck, lost, paycheck to paycheck, that wants to change their life? What would you say to them of the benefit you guys have had with having a coach and a mentor and buying into a course?
Um, you know, and I'll answer first. I'll be brutally honest about it. I think it needs to be brutally honest that you're always going to be taking a risk, right? You lost thousands of dollars in a drop shipping course, right? We were taking a risk buying your course, your mentorship. But what I noticed is the difference, right? Is that one, you care, right? That's what I've seen. You care, you want us to be successful, right? And you have the proof of concept. We've seen it from you and your business that it works. And so if you're giving us exactly what your business is doing, which you have done, and we're not being successful, all that can mean is that we're not doing the work, that we're not doing what's required, right? And so I think that's been a big thing for me is you've literally copied something that you've done in your business, a successful business, and pasted it to us. And you've even walked us through it every single day of how to do it, helping us, teaching us all of that till we were successful doing it, until we understood it for ourselves. So my experience has been really good there that, you know, you think of all the things in the world we spend money on, right? Like useless things, right? We save up all our money just to buy a car, just to go to college, just to buy a home one day in retirement, right? Like and not those things are useless, but that, you know, it's we spend our money on so many things that if you think about the money we're spending in a course, it's just investing in ourselves. All it's doing is making us more successful, more rich in the future to come.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I like that perspective on it. That's cool.
Yeah, and for me, I'll be brutally honest as well. There's a lot of people out there that have ruined the um, courses and mentorship. A lot of people have ruined that, and I think there is a good reason why people should be very, very careful about who they pay to mentor them or what courses they buy, right? And I think for me, the reason that I took that chance on you was because, I mean, I got to meet you in person, so that was nice, right? I actually got to meet you. But more than that, as soon as we got into it, as soon as I signed up, right, you were right there and you're making a plan out for me, right? I remember the very first sheet you made me, how many people I was going to call, what list, you know what I mean? And you had everything planned out, you were ready to go, and you were constantly talking to me, right? Always checking up on how I was doing and how the deals were going and everything like that. I feel like a lot of courses nowadays, you hop in, right, and you don't hear from anyone. It's just, hey, watch the video and good luck,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what's cool about level 10 is we have school, right? So you have, yeah, you have a course, right? And that's just to give you the knowledge that you need to start. But then after that, we're all in there, right? People can talk to you. People can talk to me. People can talk to Caleb and the other 20 people
Yeah.
that are in the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not alone. There's no, just good luck, right? And I mean, we're going as far as, hey, once you guys, find something, we're here to help you, right? Obviously, you can see the value in that, right? Whatever you need, we're here. We're here to help you. We want to see you succeed, right? We all just want to make a bunch of money and become better people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why I just love the community.
Yep. It is freaking awesome. And that's some stuff that I've learned along this whole way is when I first got started wholesaling, I had so many people coming to me saying that they to buy their course and to get into their thing. And it just felt so wrong every time.
Mm-hmm.
The first mentor I got was Keaton the Muscle Hoskins,
Yeah.
and that was a huge investment. It was a huge risk. But the reason I hired him as a mentor for personal life and business, and that was a year and a half ago, I'm still with him, is because I saw the life that he lived and I wanted that exact life. And I think that's kind of something that you said of why you hired me as your mentor. It's kind of cool. So, and for anyone out there, like I think people are just too scared to invest in themselves. They'll spend money on anything, like Caleb was talking about, but they won't invest in themselves, which is going to have the biggest ROI. Like we're our own biggest assets, I believe.
Yeah.
We can only make as much money as we know how to make.
Yep.
And society is so stuck thinking they can only make $40,000, $50,000 a year, so that's what they're going to make. You guys just made double that in 1 month. But I think for anyone that's out there, it doesn't even have to be wholesaling. It doesn't have to be real estate, but whatever you're passionate about, a business that they want to start, find someone who's doing it. Mm-hmm. That even if they're not even coaching or mentoring, if they're actively doing what you want to do and you want to emulate their life, reach out to them, ask them how much it's going to cost for their time. Because that's what big problem I had too from the beginning is I'm like, why will nobody teach me for free?
Yeah.
Until I was in the position when people were asking me to teach them for free. You get to a level, you just don't have the time for it anymore.
Yep.
Time is really money.
Yep.
But yeah, I think anyone out there that wants to do something with their life, whatever you're passionate about, find someone that's actively doing it.
And I think another thing that's really important is putting yourself around people that you want to be like.
Yep.
Right. And it doesn't mean you have to buy a course or, a mentorship, right? It could be your buddies doing what you want to be doing or, family members. It doesn't matter, right? But get around the people that are going in the direction in life that you want to go as well, right? If you hang around a bunch of people that you don't want to be like, you're going to become one of them, right? Get around the people that you want to be like.
Yep. And, it's such the cliche saying of you're the sum total of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, but also your income.
Yeah.
Like look at your buddies around,
yep.
How much they're making, add it all up, divide it by 5. That's how much you're going to be making.
Yep.
And that's a real life example of what you guys did. You talk about a lot, Hayden, is the friend group you used to be in,
yep,
and the money you were making, and then look at the new group you're in. Level 10. We're all like-minded. It's 50x your income.
Yep.
Both of you.
One thing I would add too. One thing I would add is an analogy I love and always loved it. It goes for more than just because you're right. Actions speak louder than words. So who you surround yourself with is who you become. But also, I would say the same for advice. It goes into the mentorship, somebody teaching you. An analogy I love is why would you go to a Chevy dealership about a Ford truck, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed since I've started, I think it's good to be open to advice from many different people. And I have a lot of good examples in my life. But since I've started, I've had a lot of people who worked the 9 to 5, saved up money, went to college, tried to give me advice on running the business, on investing money, on doing certain things. And sometimes they have good things to say, but they expect me to always take their advice. And I'm like, I if I took everybody's advice, I'd never be confident in myself. I would never make decisions for myself. I need to take advice and coaching from somebody who I want to be like, just like you talked about with the muscle, right? Like you saw he was somebody you wanted to live like, and that's the best person to teach you.
Yep, that's awesome. Um, Going back to what you said at the beginning about you struggled because you never had the belief of your capabilities and what you could achieve.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that everyone struggles with, is they don't think they're worthy of it. They think that they're not smart enough for it. They don't think that they were giving enough handouts for it, or they didn't have the opportunities. We all know that's bullshit. You can create all the opportunities you want if you go out there and take action. And what I think is so awesome with you guys is, at the beginning, did you guys ever even comprehend that you could make $70,000 in 1 month?
Nope.
Like, think about it, a year and a half ago when we were sitting at Cafe Rio. Did you ever think you could make 70 grand in 1 month?
No. And even to this day, when I tell like my family members, right, that ask about what I'm doing, I tell them that, and they can't even like understand
Yeah.
it, right? They're like, no, there's no way. You're lying, right? And like it goes back to what we were saying. That's just not normal in society, right? That's just not something that people have become accustomed to,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's abnormal, and it just seems fake.
Yep. And that's where it ties into who you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was in a small town in Smithfield, Utah, making 6 figures a month,
Yeah.
and it was just unheard of. No one even believed me. They hated on me for it. And I just had a big target on my back. And I come down here to Salt Lake, and it's just like, I'm a small fish in a huge pond.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Limitless event over the weekend, I'm like, okay, I make no money. I'm like, I need 100x what I'm doing right now. I really need to crank it up. And that's the whole reason, one of the reasons for starting this podcast,
Yep.
is just taking it to the next level. But if you're surrounding yourself with people that complain, people that don't believe in the money that you can make, that's the exact environment. That's what you're going to produce.
Mm-hmm.
Is you're going to complain, you're going to look for the negative things and everything. And so now that's tying into the next thing I wanted to talk about, is some of the sacrifices you have to make when you want to be in the 1%, when you want more out of life. I had to give up my old friend group. For the new life that you want, you're going to have to give up your old one. Kind of the saying.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to sacrifice video games. I've had to sacrifice hanging out. I've had to sacrifice living the college life.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the sacrifices that you guys have had to make, and then how has that played a role in your success?
So just like you said, one of the biggest sacrifices I had to make, in the moment, it seemed like the biggest sacrifice, but was my friend group, right? And unfortunately, a lot of those friends were family members, cousins, right? And I had to get away from that, and that sucked, right? I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want to, just disappear out of thin air, but I knew that's what I had to do, right? Because they weren't in the same mindset as me. They didn't want out of life what I wanted, right? So that was the first big thing that was really tough. The second thing is, through this whole process, right, starting our business and everything like that, I had to sell my dirt bike. I had to sell my snowmobile, right? I had to sell a lot of stuff at the very beginning to keep myself afloat, right? And to be able to reinvest into my business.
Jeez.
And that sucked, because I love snowmobiling and I love dirt biking, but I love making money more.
Oh yeah.
And now we can buy whatever snowmobile and whatever dirt bike we want.
Yep.
Right? Fortunately, I still don't have the time for it,
Yeah.
but we're there.
Yeah. And a lot of people have the misconception of, and we'll let you talk on that too, Caleb. I just want to add in something there, but a lot of people have the misconception that you're going to just lose all your friends, but you make the real friends. Like Eric Spofford talked about, everyone says it's lonely at the top. It's not. The process of getting to the top, it is going to be lonely. You're going to have to find that new friend group that thinks alike. That's what I think is so awesome about level 10 is it's right now it's 20 other guys. We all think the same. We're all going after the same goals. It's a brotherhood. It's a friendship. It's a full support team. And now think of what you were doing with your old friend group a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. We just spent a couple weekends ago. We just last minute trip to Vegas,
Mhm.
flying in a helicopter over the Sphere, flying down the strip in the helicopter with freaking private rides everywhere. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
And now it's just a whole different world of kind of what we do.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I'm really glad you bring that up about you find who your real friends are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because as soon as I made that first sacrifice, right, and I got rid of my friends, I got rid of them, but I just distanced
Right.
myself a little bit. All they did was talk shit, right? And then
Welcome.
you get to, you really know how they feel about you,
Yep.
right? And ever since I've taken this journey, right, and I've met new people in the group, outside of the group, wherever it may be, I've noticed that when you're failing, right, because everyone fails, right? When you're failing and you're struggling, every single person that I've met on this journey, right, and in the group, they all uplift you no matter what.
Yep.
It does not matter what happens. No one's making fun of you, right? No one's giving you a hard time. No one's preying on your downfall, just like my old friends were,
Yep.
right? I know that they sit at home and they just pray that one day I'm going to fail, right? Everything's going to come crumbling down to the ground and they can say, I told you so, right? I told you it wasn't going to work, right? But everyone around me now, my real friends now, they would hate to see that.
Yep.
In fact, they would give me a helping hand whenever I needed it.
That's what I was gonna say. No one would let that happen.
Yeah.
Now. Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. Then Caleb, going back to kind of going about the sacrifices that you've had to make to get to where you are now, and also kind of the sacrifices that other people are just gonna have to go through to get to where they want to get to.
Yeah, I think for me, and it's funny for me because I don't see I'm kind of in the investment mindset. So I don't feel like there was a lot I had to sacrifice, right?
Hmm.
I'll be honest, like I haven't really had very many friends growing up. Like Hayden's one of the only ones, right? And he's a true friend, right? And so there wasn't a lot for me to necessarily give up. But one thing I learned is really to live in the 1%, you're going to have to sacrifice your old self no matter what it is. You're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to be smarter. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to do things you wouldn't do years before up to that point. You just have to lose your whole self into the work, into the investment. But I also learned there's a difference between sacrificing and investments, right? Like my family, for example, I have a lot of great examples in my family who I love to be around. I love to spend time with. And family's always been important to me. Right now, I can't spend as much time as I usually do with them because of the work. But to me, that's an investment because years down the road, I'm going to have enough money and time to do whatever I want with them whenever I want, right? It's an investment, not a sacrifice. And so there is that form of things, but you're always going to be sacrificing either the bad for good, the good for better, and the better for best. It's always going to happen when you're on the path to the 1% because there's always bad things in your life you got to get rid of. There's even good things that may not be the best for you. So you need to get rid of them. And even the best, the better and best things like family and time with family, you need to invest that. You need to take away from that for a time so that you can come back around and have, times 100 of it for the rest of your life.
Awesome. Awesome. I know we keep hopping back and forth, but going back to giving people just the belief of what you can accomplish when you find a system that works and you act on it. Like I said earlier, I was able to, make my first 6-figure month at the age of 23. It's just insane, especially for Smithfield, Utah. And then you guys were able to do 70 grand at the age of 22. You guys are going to beat me. You guys just did 70 grand at the age of 22. I want to walk through a little bit about the deal that you just most recently closed on and give some belief and some help to someone else that may be out there that's wholesaling or flipping that may be interested in that side of things or who isn't even interested, but hears about the money you can make and wants to join. Kind of walk me through the whole process of how you guys even found that deal.
So how we found this deal is we actually, we've closed a couple deals before this one, so we were able to invest in getting callers, right? And our callers are just appointment setters, so we're still doing most of the work on the deals on the back end and even the front, right? We're doing the negotiating, we're doing the signing, but they're calling them. So basically, we had a caller. His name's Garrett, and we got him a list. And we've had really, good luck with absentee owners, right?
And where'd you get that list from?
From how did we pull it, or
Yeah, where'd you pull it from?
we pulled it off of PropStream.
Okay, cool.
So that's just the program we use to pull lists, and pulled an absentee owner in Weber County and just started calling on it. That's where we got a lot of our other deals, was an absentee list. Which means the owner doesn't live in the property anymore, and they just started calling on it. And this guy was about the 400th person that our caller called, so it takes some time.
Yeah,
It takes some time and discipline. But he called Monday through Friday, 3 hours a day, every day for 3 weeks. So it definitely takes time and discipline. But if you think about it, 3 weeks for $70,000, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so once we got a hold of him, just really, got to know him. And I felt like that's been such an easy thing for me with wholesaling, with selling, I guess you could say, is people overcomplicate it. I think if you can get on the phone and have a good conversation with somebody, that's a win for the day. And if they're interested, it's a huge bonus, right? Like obviously we're there to get the deal, to do that, and you have sales techniques, but I've always just said, you know what? You have to build a rapport anyway, so just enjoy it. Get on and get to know them. And that's what I did, and realized he had gone through a lot. He's, in his 70s still working, because he's paying not only for the house he lives in now, but also for the house that he, moved out of, that his son was living in, not paying rent on for 8 years. So this guy's still working in his 70s, ready to retire, and wants to sell the house. And I told him, I said, hey, what do we need to do to help your son out? How can we help him get out of there and get him in a good position? What's it going to take? Time, money, whatever it is. And later on in the deal, he actually ended up telling me the only reason he went with us is because I offered to help his son. He said, I've had about 50 other investors call me. And he said, I always hang up on them and say no, because they just want the deal right away. They don't care about anything else. And because we asked him that, which by the way, we learned from you, right? To actually care about these people and to help them. That's exactly what we did. And that's what got us a $70,000 deal.
Awesome. I think there was two great lessons that you taught in there, that I took out of it that I think would help a lot of other people is, it took 400 calls to get one yes. We've had, we were talking about some guys in our community right now that they called 8 people and they were frustrated they didn't get a deal. Once you understand that, like, you have to put in way more work than you can possibly imagine, that's when you'll start really seeing success. It took 400 calls to get the one yes, but that one yes then led to a $70,000 deal, and that caller got paid out $10,000 or something like that. 10 grand. So not only are your guys' lives changing, but look at the impact that you're leaving now on so many people, and your family. Your family's talked about it. Your family, your friends. It's a crazy effect that just by one day you guys took that chance. You guys took that leap. The other thing that I really got from that was, we're just in the business of solving problems. We see where a problem is, we provide a solution, and we get paid in direct proportion to that. So for anyone out there that has a business, they need to understand too, just find where a problem is happening and provide a solution to it. And that's how you make money. A lot of people just way overcomplicate it. We're solving problems by helping out homeowners that need to sell quick. They don't want to have their property anymore. And then we line that property up with someone who's looking for a fix and flip investment, put those two together, and that's how we make some great money.
Well, one thing I just wanted to add to what you were saying about the um like in the beginning when you were talking about how first of all it takes time, right? The 400 people, but also people who don't believe. I would say good, right? Because belief is a process, and it kind of goes in the quote, find joy in the process, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
learned with deals, it's a buildup, right? You call, you get a bunch of no's, you get a bunch of no answers, and then you finally get somebody answer, or like they answer, they say no, and then you get somebody answer, and you have a good conversation, but they're not interested. You call a bunch more, you finally get somebody answer, you have a good conversation, they're interested, but then they say no to the offer, and it's a buildup. So if you don't believe, good, because that's the part of the process of building belief, is that's what brings excitement to it, right? If you 100% got a yes every single time, there's no joy in that, there's no excitement, right? And so that's where I found excitement, because when somebody says yes, it's like the routine of calling and getting no's has become so normal to me, and I don't mind it, I don't care about it. So when somebody says yes, I just feel so much better, and I just keep doing what I'm doing, right, until I get that deal. And when you get that deal, it makes all those no's worth it, that you're willing
Yep.
to call 1,000 people for that one yes, because that one yes changes your life, it makes you feel amazing.
Yeah. And that kind of like momentum that you're talking about is something that everyone needs, and just not even in business or wholesaling, but just the day to day. So many people get stuck in a rut thinking that there's no way out of it, miserable, depressed, anxious. But, we talk a lot about just stacking those small wins of waking up when you say you're going to wake up, hitting the gym when you say you're going to hit the gym, do the sets, do the reps, put in the work that you say you're going to do. And those small wins start stacking up to come into bigger wins and bigger wins, a $5,000 deal, and then a $20,000 deal for you guys, and then 22, and then $70,000 deal. The small wins are just going to keep stacking and stacking and building into something that you guys still, none of us can even comprehend really of where we're going.
Yeah.
I look at that when I got started. We made 64 grand on our first deal, and then we had a $20,000 deal, a $30,000 deal, and then it kept going up to a $147,000 deal, and then closing a few of those in a month, and then $100,000 months, and now it's led to where it is now. We have so many deals right now we can't even keep track of them all. And just for anyone watching, I think that's what they need to see too, is just, even if you're at the lowest of all lows, just start somewhere. Pick yourself up, get out of bed, get out of the house, go for a walk, just do something small, and that's all going to add up. But I know we got to head out now. We got some shit to do, but we're going to definitely continue this. There's a lot more that we need to freaking talk about. A lot more. Thank you guys for being here today on our very first episode and show of the Level 10 podcast, where we will provide an insane amount of value on how you can take your mindset, muscle, and money to the next level. We'll see you next week.